episode. Today we're going to do in my opinion, really fun art experiment. And it's something that honestly anyone of any age can do. So I've seen a lot of people do it with markers. I do it with paint just because I think it's more fun. But there's a lot of ways, so we're going to walk through what it is. All you really need: plastic. I use the plastic tops of like foil containers for food. They're super flimsy. I have 2 of them here. So in a second, I'm going to cut off all these edges and just use the flat surface. You can use cups. There's a lot of fun videos on how to do it, but the whole process is you paint your designs on them and then you put them in the oven. And I've got a little toaster oven that we're going to use. My first time using the toaster oven for this purpose. But what happens is then the pieces shrink and they become super tiny little canvases, and you have to focus. It's not going to focus for me. All in all though, it comes out to be like these cute little pieces. I have quite a few here, and you can use them for jewelry, you can use them really as a wide variety of things that you could possibly use. So we're going to do that today. I've got 2 different things that I want to kind of paint for this purpose that aren't scenery. My husband got me some wildflowers recently, just randomly, and I really love them. They're beautiful, and so I kind of want to capture them in this form. And we also recently went to the beach in Florida, and I got some really pretty seashells, so my hope is to also capture some of those. So come along with this journey, and hopefully it will inspire you to do the same, because this is a really fun craft. Okay, so I started out by just kind of painting the base of my shapes across the board for both my seashells as well as the flower inspiration. You can see that I have both of those items in front of me just to keep me focused. Go larger than you think you might need to. If you go very small, it's going to be really hard to paint it, especially on plastic, but then you're going to lose all of the details when it shrinks in the oven. So for all of these, I just kind of went larger and did a variety of different sizes, different shapes to see kind of what comes about. Started doing my layering across the board and just kind of kept going with it. And you'll kind of watch I alternate between each of the plastic panels. That way I could give them each enough time to dry. And once they're all finished painting, you'll see what the next step is. And now it's just time to cut around my shapes. I wasn't too particular about whether or not I cut right up on the paint or left a small little barrier with a little bit of clear plastic. It really is up to you and your personal preference. I didn't worry too much about it. One thing to be cautious about is making sure that any edges are rounded. You don't want to get stabbed because they can get very sharp with the plastic. So that's the biggest thing that I was watching out for when cutting. And the third step of this process is to shrink them in the oven. So here's my little toaster oven. For my larger pieces, I just put them on top of parchment paper. I haven't had any issues with the plastic sticking, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I put it in at 350. I'm sure you could probably go with a higher temperature, but 350 has just always worked for me. And there it goes. It's like magic. It just starts immediately shrinking, and I know sometimes this can be stress-inducing. For some of the pieces, they kind of fold almost completely on top of each other, and you just gotta trust it. Give it some time. Let it kind of work itself out, and it does tend to flatten out. You just kind of gotta trust it. Definitely had some interesting moments though watching it, as it's been very nerve-wracking at times. But once it's flat like this, I can just go ahead and take it right on out. And when you bring it out, obviously it's going to be a little soft and pliable. When you bring it out at first, you can even see here I kind of mess with it in just a second. So very bendy, but if you honestly give it 10-20 seconds out, it will start to firm up and be dry, and it's easy to move. And with these ones, I wanted to show you a little bit more. They took a little bit longer to flatten out, and for some of them they bowed, so they didn't completely flatten out. They're more like a dome. And I talk in just a little bit about my reasonings or my thought process on why. Mainly, I think it has to do with the amount of paint that's on here. But as you can see, it's kind of interesting just how the different thicknesses of the paint can have a really huge effect on how quickly it will flatten out. And in a second, we'll kind of take a closer look at the outcome of that. And the last and final step is to just put a clear gloss over this with some Mod Podge. This just kind of helps protect the acrylic paint from cracking off, especially because it's been shrunk. But once this is all dry, the pieces are good to go, and you have your miniature paintings. Hi everybody. It has been an hour and a half, a little over that. I was watching a movie, so kind of know the time frame. And I finished the pieces, and I've learned a couple things, was reminded of a few things, because when I originally did it a couple months ago, in fact I think it was in December, I had a friend visiting, there was some pieces that didn't completely flatten out, and obviously some of the acrylic paint kind of had like a bubbling effect. And in my head, like, that made sense because while acrylic is very plastic, when shrinking, it's just condensing in size, so it gets a little bit of those bubbles. What I forgot and was reminded of with my experiment today was the more paint you have on the pieces, the less likely they are to flatten. So my seashells, the pieces that actually could have been curved, right, to be more 3D. I used a lot more water in them when applying the paint, but it was because I wanted that very feather texture to kind of give the striations or whatever, the stripes on the shells. But because of that, they're actually pretty flat across the board. Whereas for my flowers, I wanted there to be really strong colors and strong punch, and I'm too impatient to wait for the layers to dry. And so because of that, not only do we have just like an immense amount of bubbling, but I mean, you can pretty much wrap around my finger. In my opinion, I still think they're really cool pieces. I really surprisingly like how this one turned out. I think it's really nice. This one, I was trying to do like a 3/4 view of a flower. Didn't turn out right at all. Probably won't be keeping this one. But I really enjoyed it. As you probably saw in some of the pieces, you can puncture little holes in them. And if you wanted to make them into jewelry, you could do that. I've done it with these other pieces as well. They just have a little hole in them. Overall, really happy with how this turned out. Really happy with my seashells. I like how my flowers turned out. I think it was a good lesson learned. It didn't exactly come out the way I thought they were going to come out, but I still like it. Anyways, I'm really glad that I did this again. The little mini oven worked really well. It's completely turned off now and unplugged because paranoid of fire hazards. So I've got that all taken care of, but I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I think this is kind of a fun way to use those plastic lids from those food containers instead of just throwing them away after you're done using them. Wait for them to completely dry, you know, rinse them off, make sure they're clean, and then create some little fun pieces that theoretically could be jewelry, but also just really pretty pieces. I'd love to know what you guys think of this video. I'd love to know what designs you think you'd enjoy doing, different techniques. I mean, even with this one, to create kind of the spikes, I just had fun kind of creating those layers of a little bit thicker paint because I knew it would bubble up, and that kind of created that texture. So it was a lot of fun. I'd love to know what you guys think. If you've tried this, let me know. If you've tried the plastic cup method where you use a marker along the edges and then it shrinks into a circular piece, let me know. And I would love to see that work. I haven't tried that method yet, but I have a lot of fun with this method, and it takes just a few seconds for it to transform in the oven. As you saw, those are all real-time videos. None of them have been sped up, so it's really fun. Obviously the painting portion was sped up, but I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you supporting my video and my content, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.